Hi friends, I am Arvind, working as a lecturer in Shraddha College and executive member in Nalgonda Economics Forum. Welcome to Nalgonda Economics Forum. In this video, I want to explain about economic development. In the last class, we understood about what is economic growth. Economic growth is increasing the goods and services in a year, or else increasing the real national income in a year, or else increasing the real per capita of each and every individual of any year. That is what economic growth. So let's look at into the economic development. So economic development concept, it is all about developing nations. Economic growth, which all about developed nations. Economic development, we will look at into the developing countries perspective, right? So what do you mean by economic development? Economic development means, if you look at into the traditional economists, the incrementing the national income or real per capita income, real GDP, that is what traditional way, I mean the increment in the production of agriculture, industrial, service sector. So that is what the economic status, incrementing the national income output only we will look at into the traditional way. If you look at it into the modern economist, economic development means that not only increment in the economic growth, means real GDP or real per capita income, it also simultaneously changes in the socio-economic structure of a country. Socio-economic structure, progressive changes in the socio-economic conditions. That is what economic development, right? If you look at here, there is a Michael Pitaro. According to the Michael Pitaro, the development must be conceived as a multi-dimensional process involving major changes in social structures, popular attitudes and national institutions, and acceleration of growth and reduction of inequality and eradication of poverty. Means the multi-dimensional changes, the process, each and every aspect, social aspects and economic aspects need to be changed. Countries like developing economy, the social structure means social infrastructure like health, education, sanitation, pure drinking water, all social aspects need to be enhanced. At the same time, economic infrastructure, roadways, railways, transportation, whatever the harbors, irrigation projects, each and every aspect, economic aspects need to be developed. So that is what acceleration of growth, incrementing the national income or GDP or per capita income or acceleration of this particular economic growth. Simultaneously, there will be reduction in inequality. Inequalities, we are living in the unequal world. Whatever the developing countries or India, Africa, or whatever the Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, these are all developing countries are living in the unequal society. So countries are need to be equal. Okay, in the terms of wealth, in terms of income, has to be live in equal world. So that is what reduction in inequality, the conditions of economic status of each and every individual of a country has to be decreased, inequalities, reduction in inequalities and eradication of poverty. So people are not able to access basic necessities. Poverty means people are unable to access basic necessities, food, shelter, clothes. So whatever the basic needs the people are unable to access, those people call under poverty. So the poverty need to be reduction. Poverty need to be eradicated. Each and every aspect, people has to be receive minimum needs of their daily livelihood. So that is what eradication. So that is what Mitchell Pitaro had given definition about economic development. So if you look at into there are the structural changes in economic development. So what are the structural changes in economic development? Let's look at here. Occupational structure. Occupational structure means the share of labor force mostly in developing countries are depend on agriculture sector. Agriculture means farming or fishing, etc. So most of the people depend on agriculture sector. The primary sector, the labor force dependence on most of the population on the agriculture or primary sector. So it has to be changed. The labor force has to change into the industrial sector or service sector to get more productivity, the more production, the more national income. So it has to be changed labor force into the different sector. industrial or service sector. So if you look at into the next structural changes, national output means the portion, the maximum portion of contribution of national income in agriculture sector whenever developing nation. If you look at into the developing nation, so the most of the developing nation are depend on agriculture sector, so the contribution of agriculture is very high. So it has to be changed. The contribution of agriculture to industrial sector to service sector. So service sector, industrial sector and service sector, the contribution of national income has to be increase or accelerate in the service sector and industrial sector. That is what. So the structural changes in national output, the production, the goods and services, the real national income has to be increased, right? And coming to structure of industrial production, mostly developing nation, they has to be produce only primary goods, right? They used to produce primary goods only. So the countries like developing economies, India or some African countries or Bangladesh, these are all, whichever the countries developing nation has to be produce capital goods at the same time consumer goods. Means the production of consumer goods and production of capital goods has to be increased. The industrial production has to be increased in the capital goods as well as consumer goods, right? The production has to be increased, and at the same time consumption of whatever the structure of foreign trade, whatever the structure means in the countries like developing economy, mostly they used to trade in terms of primary goods, whatever the agriculture related forms, whatever the agriculture related, paddy, wheat, these are quantities. Maximum they used to be export primary goods, right? Agricultural goods, they are used to be export. So it has to be decreased and has to be enhanced, accelerate in terms of service goods or manufacturing goods. Means capital goods need to be increased. That is what the real national income will be increased, so that there will be chances the economic development, right? And coming to structure of technology, countries like mostly developing nations are not able to utilize the technology in the each and every sector wise, like industrial sector, service sector and agriculture sector. Each and every sector, all three sector has to be utilized new innovative technology, right? In order to advance technology, so there will be less cost, higher production. So most of the developing country, they are dependent on labor force. So the cost of production is high, the production will be very less, right? So the less cost, high production, if we use the well new technology in order to production of goods and services, so there will be less cost and high production. So the structure of technology has to be changed. Each and agricultural sector, industrial sector, service sector, there has to be changed, the new technology in each and every sector. That is what structural changes need to be done in economic developing nations, right? And social and institutional sectors. Social and institutional means whatever the social infrastructure, health, education, and whatever the institutional, hospitals, health sector, each and every aspect, there has to be structural changes need to be done. So that is what economic development, right? So if we focus these all structural changes, so it is a possibility to get countries developing, right? So next, there is a modern view. Coming to the modern view, according to the Amartya Sen, is a Nobel laureate in economics. So he given economic development, the definition of economic development, well-being of the society based on health and education. If the countries have capable enough to get maximum skills, means education and health perspective, if the people are getting very equitable, so there is a possibility to changing the countries, their economic conditions, their economic development. So if the country want to be development, it has to be changed, literacy rate, education, okay, that is what need to be changed. And at the same time, health sector, health has to be health conditions need to be changed. That is what according to Amartya Sen. Human capability approach means the health conditions and educations, people has to be skilled enough. So that is what generally and automatically the development process can be done. That is what Amartya Sen given about economic development meaning or concept. Right? I hope you all clear. We'll try to understand in the next class what is the difference between economic growth and economic development. Thanks for watching.